talking about backing up the pitchers. I mean, Luis Castillo has been fantastic. He gave you 6 innings last night, 2 runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. It's his 8th quality start in his last 9 outings. So he is giving you a chance to win each and every night. He's not a guy who goes 7 or 8 innings. He doesn't. That's not what he does. He's not that economical with his pitches, but he's always keeping, even when it looks like, all right, he gives up a home run, he doesn't have his A stuff, he's still keeping him in the game. He's giving you a chance to win just about every single time he takes the hill out there.
Yeah, and I think last year the one sort of black mark against him was he gave up lots of home runs, and he does. Of all the starting pitchers, I think he's given up 11 now.
Just seems more untimely. More than, for me, the number is one thing. Where they happened in the game was more about, that wasn't first inning. All right, it's 1-0. There's a home run. It just felt like it came at really unfortunate times.
And I feel like he's still the ace because we kind of go through that, as the season progresses because, guys have streaks where they're pitching a little bit better, but I feel like, he's the rock. And I still would put him as the ace, but it's a good discussion to have because, and we like having that because, we've got this year 5 excellent starters.
Yeah, it's fun to watch those guys go out there and do what they do, and Castillo did it last night. The bullpen, as I mentioned, he had both Saucedo and Stanek come in, 3 combined innings, no hits, no runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. 2 games in a row. We were talking about a couple of these guys, particular Spire was having a really rough month of May. He had 3 outings in a row where he gave up 2 runs, and each of those a third of an inning each time. So they'd a couple of guys were scuffling, and it's good to see these guys, a couple games in a row shut down the opposition. It was really cool to see. And you didn't have Munoz for last night, so Stanek comes in against his former team. That was really cool to see. We talked about home runs being given up by Castillo. He gave a tip of the cap to our guy Rayleigh out there, who used every bit of his 6'4" frame and some hops out there to rob a home run.
The 2-2. Swinging a well-hit ball deep into the gap in left center field. Rayleigh going back to the wall, leaps up, and he makes the catch! Luke Rayleigh over the top of the wall in front of the Mariners bullpen. Relievers clapping their hands. Luke Rayleigh timing that leap over the fence. He takes a home run away from Jeremy Pena that would have tied it up, but it's still the Mariners 1 and the Astros 0. What a catch, what a play by Luke Rayleigh. How about that?
Couple of things about that. One was that he didn't really get a chance to load up, right? Yeah. He was kind of standing almost straight up, and then just that explosiveness. And then the timing and just knowing, because if we've seen this before, if you jump, even if you're loaded up and you jump and you even graze the wall, you're screwed. Yeah, so I thought it was kind of interesting. They had one of the camera shots where there's an older guy out there and where the bullpen is, and he's just kind of watching it. And I thought it would be really interesting to have seen that if you were like right there on the wall and you see the ball coming, all of a sudden this glove just snatches it out of the air. Yeah, and but the guy's expression was just kind of like, okay, and just turned around. I was like, what? Why are you screaming and yelling, man? But it was that was cool. He is a very interesting player to watch.
Yeah. And Scott says it in our conversation with Blowers. He says it. They always say, well, it's not pretty, but he gets it done. Yeah. Scott said it in the postgame last night about him. Not pretty, but he finds a way to get it done.
Finds a way to get there. Yeah. And the other one is he looks like a football player playing baseball.
Yeah.
Which he does. He could probably be a tight end.
Yeah. You wouldn't use the word grace with him. Yeah, he's not graceful, but he's effective. He's fast. He makes the plays. If he hits the ball, it's going to go a long way. So,
well, and Scott always says too that, a lot of guys say, hey, they hustle, they run, but it's kind of like Dylan Moore's feet. When Dylan Moore makes contact with a baseball, it's like there's something in his brain that starts his feet before he even knows.
His feet are moving on the follow through of his swing.
Yeah,
like he's already in his sprint.
Yeah, and I don't think he could even help that. It's like it just happens. That's what happens in his body. That's the same thing with Rayleigh. I mean, I think he is he's just going to run hard every single time. It's like a lot of times for guys hustling, it's kind of a subconscious thing where you're like, and I've seen myself on film before where I'm like, yeah, I'm not running hard, but it's not because I'm lazy or anything like that. It's just that, yeah, I'm thinking about something or something else, and he doesn't have that. He just is 100% full go all the time. When it's time to run, it's time to run. So, yeah, there's a lot to like about him. Now, he did strike out 4 times last.
Yeah,
night.
we'll get to the. Let's talk about the good stuff.
But yeah, yeah. But I think he's one of those guys that can be like that spark.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about that with Dylan Moore. Same thing with Josh Rojas and the dirty uniform. And you know what? Julio's kind of starting to be that guy.
Yeah, you that was part of the good. I mean, so you had Castillo, you had the bullpen, you had the catch by Raley, you had Josh Rojas going 2 for 4 last night, drives in the tying run in the 8th inning with a double. So good to see him he kind of hit that down turn there for a bit, whereas he wasn't. And again, unfair to expect him to hit 340, which is what he was doing. You knew he was going to come back to earth a bit, but yeah, that was a great game for him. And then Julio 2 for 4. He drives in the go-ahead run in the 8th on that. You know, it's a little nubber on the infield, but his speed is a problem. Forces a quick throw that's errant. And so, you know, these guys are coming through in clutch situations, whether they're squaring the ball up, just putting the ball in play. You see what happens, and Scott says it all the time. Put the ball in play, good things can happen there.
Yeah.
And we saw that with Julio, who, you know, it was a dribbler, you know, but it became an effective moment. Haniger leads off the 8th with a double, which is good to see because he's been scuffling, but he's got a hit in 3 of the last 4 games. I'm hoping he's starting to turn the corner because I really root for Mitch Haniger. And that was crucial because he comes up with a double to lead off, and then they put Clase in there for him to run for him, and he eventually comes around to score the tying run. So that was a huge moment for Haniger. And then cool to see Ryan Bliss up there. He goes 2 attempts to drop a bunt down. Doesn't get it. He's sitting there 0-2, the rookie. You know, he's been there for just a minute at the big league level, and he's down 0-2 in a situation like this, and he works a walk. That was huge. That was big, and he comes around. Eventually, he's the go-ahead run in that 8th inning. So that was big for him. He got the post-game interview. I don't know if you watched that, but they doused him with the 2 buckets of water or Gatorade, whatever, and he's out there with the trident. That was cool to see.
Yeah, and he's looking eye to eye at Jen Mueller. I mean, I didn't realize that, but I mean, whatever, it works. You know what an unbelievably mature, I would say, at bat there. I mean, you try, like as you said, for a couple of times to lay a bunt down, and you're 0-2, and working a walk there. That's ridiculous.
That's big.
Yeah. So that was amazing to see him get that done. So yeah, and then Josh Rojas, he's the guy I love to watch. He just is pure excitement. I don't think he ever. Kind of reminds me of Dave Craig, the way Dave Craig would play. You'd be down 41-0, and he would be like, "Come on, guys, let's go. We can win this game." Like, no, we can't, Dave. But yeah, to me, he is always. I mean, he goes up there. I think he swung with the single he got early on. I think he swung at the first pitch, and then Julio gets up, and then on the second pitch he steals a bag and then ends up scoring. So yeah, I just love that guy. He's just electric on the bases, and he's just one of those guys that's a spark plug. But like I said, I love that Julio is starting to kind of slowly step into that role where he's making the big plays.